It was the Luis Robert Jr. show on Sunday as the White Sox won the game and series. Robert Jr. hit 2 bombs on Sunday. He has 21 on the year and is creating an airtight case for representing the White Sox in Seattle for the All-Star game next month. Updates on Tim Anderson, Yoan Moncada, Liam Hendriks, and Mike Clevinger as the White Sox head back out west to battle the Angels.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome back to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong die-hard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Chicago White Sox take on the Los Angeles Angels on Monday. Dylan Cease is on the mound. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Our Chicago White Sox, they are 34-45, 6 games back in the AL Central. Nothing has really changed in that department, unfortunately. White Sox beat Boston on Sunday. It was a hot, thick, steamy one on the south side. And White Sox, I should say, got to be careful with that. White Sox won the series, but they did not gain any ground on Minnesota. Chicago's first series win since June 8th when they beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. So a lot to do about Tim Anderson, I thought, personally, this past weekend, especially in games 1 and 2. TA batting second in the lineup and playing second base on Friday and Saturday. However, we were told not to read anything into it. You can make conspiracy theories galore, as I tend to do. Wow, are other teams contacting the Chicago White Sox? Are they asking if Tim Anderson would be open to playing second base because they would like to make a bid, so to speak, on Tim Anderson here? What can we get? What kind of Tim Anderson can we get? Is he just going to want to play shortstop? So the White Sox, maybe auditioning him a bit at second base. He's got that injury, and maybe teams are starting to get a little worried, and maybe the Sox are getting worried because they had plans to move TA before the deadline. That's a bunch of conspiracy stuff that I am creating, but that's where your mind goes when certain things like this happen. He was not in the starting lineup on Friday, and then all of a sudden got put in to play second base. It was just a little interesting, more than a little interesting. Speaking of starting lineups, TA did not play on Sunday. He was not in the lineup and did not come in any way, shape, or form. Pedro Grifol said the White Sox were giving Tim Anderson's shoulder a rest after he played second base the last 2 days with the intention of getting him back to shortstop ASAP. Anderson could be back as soon as Monday, and when he's back, it'll be at shortstop. For this series, which was really just 2 games for Tim Anderson, he was 0 for 7 with 2 strikeouts, had an error, probably should have had 2 while playing second base. He didn't look great. Some injury updates here. Grifol on Yoan Moncada. What is happening with this friend of ours? You come out here, you watch him take ground balls, and he does it so easy, and he's so fluid. Then you talk to him, and he's still not even close to 100%. The one thing I've learned about him is he really loves the game. He loves to play. He takes pride in it. He works hard. He's frustrated. He wants to be part of it, and he can't right now, Grifol said. I think there was some talk of him maybe not being back until definitely after the All-Star break. It's just an absolute shame with him. I don't know. That back is tricky. I don't, and I think it's been bothering him and legs and everything that comes along with it. If you've ever had a lower back issue with bulging stuff or sciatic nerves, and you just, it's like lightning. When you try to stand up, do anything, bend down, and this guy's twisting and rotating. I don't think he was able to comfortably hit from the right side for a while. He's been playing hurt. They shut him down, and I think he's bound to just have an operation at this point. But we will see how things progress. Again, what version of Moncada are you getting back if they try to rush him back like the White Sox love to do with hurt guys? Pedro Grifol said Liam Hendriks will not be back from the IL before the All-Star break. Less definite that Mike Clevinger won't pitch till second half, but given that he's a starter and will require to build back up, it's certainly possible. So not great on both of those pitchers. Got a lot of bullpen stuff, a lot of moving parts right now, as Crochet, of course, still sidelined, and they are kind of playing the Tanner Banks, Jesse Schulten's musical chairs, I guess, in that fifth starter spot. That's what happened on Sunday. White Sox beat Boston 4-1 in the series finale. Tanner Banks did start. Jesse Schulten's, though, he followed, and he was more than serviceable. Really liked what Schulten's can do. Luis Robert Jr., man, he hit a pair of home runs. He has now got 21 on the season. He also has 20 doubles. First baseball player to hit 20 home runs and 20 doubles in the MLB this season. Robert was 3 for 4 on Sunday with 3 RBI. Last 7 games for Luis Robert Jr., 4 home runs, 5 RBIs, a walk, just 4 strikeouts, slashing 409, 480, 1,000. Now he has played, talk about injured lists and guys playing hurt. It has been a different story for Luis Robert Jr. this season. He has played in 76 of the 79 games. Only Vaughn has played more with 77. This is Grifol on Robert after the game. What he does in the outfield is not easy. He plays the game with ease. Offensively, he's hunting for off speeds, hitting fastballs, not chasing as much. He's a really damn good player. There's no doubt in my mind this guy's an all-star. And, I've talked about it before, as a lot of Sox fans have. I mean, this guy makes the lineup completely different. When you don't have him in the lineup, it's just, man, it's so mediocre when you look at that lineup and you're missing Luis Robert Jr. He is Mr. Danger, and we haven't had a healthy Luis Robert Jr., clicking on all cylinders like this. He's had some valleys, though. The chase stuff has been a problem, and I think it'll continue to be a problem. It's gotten better, though, but where it was at was absolutely awful. Sometimes chasing sliders and stuff outside of the zone, a foot and a half, he has no chance. Being patient, trying to be locked in, pitchers have to come to him then, and then he feasts. And there was I can't remember what broadcaster it was. It was a Fox game. I talked about it here on Locked On, and this broadcaster said as a national game, Sox were playing, and Robert just chasing pitch after pitch, maybe 3-4 strikeouts in the game, and this analyst said, look, unless he becomes more patient and more disciplined, he's just not going to reach his potential, and that is absolutely true. And he's gotten a little bit better at that. You've seen what has happened. Pitchers realize, wow, this guy's not going to be going all over the place. I can't fool this guy. So I'm going to have to come into him. I'm going to have to throw some breaking stuff in the zone, perhaps. And Robert is not missing. He is hitting mistakes, and it is fun to watch right now what he is doing. Banks again had the start on Sunday, 2 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, a couple of walks, 4 strikeouts. His ERA 4.50. Schulten's, I thought, was the story. He went 4 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Bummer and Middleton cleaned things up after Sox pitching only allowed 5 hits, 1 run, and struck out 10. Sox offense, 4 runs, 7 hits. Benintendi had a double and a 2-out RBI. He was 2 for 4 in the game. Sox were 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. How about Benintendi in that leadoff spot? I think he's liking it. He might even love it. I sure enjoy him in that leadoff spot. He's got 20 games now this season, leadoff spot, 82 at bats. His slash line, 329, 378, 415, and an OPS of 793. So if Tim Anderson does come back, and he comes back on Monday and he plays shortstop, I want to see him in that 2 spot. I want Benintendi to stay in the leadoff spot. Lucas Giolito had a solid outing to start off the series, but the bats were quiet. Things more exciting on Saturday. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can make sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back, because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Our White Sox face off against the Los Angeles Angels on Monday. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on that SXM app. Search White Sox. How the series started Friday, Sox lost to Boston 3-1. Tim Anderson not in the lineup originally, then was inserted into second base and hitting second prior to the game. This is what Grifol had to say on Tim Anderson playing second. Don't read too much into it. He wants to be part of the lineup tonight. After the game, we'll evaluate it, like if he wasn't playing, see where his arm is, and we'll make a decision on where he plays tomorrow. All intentions are for him to go back to shortstop. Errors came back to bite the White Sox on Friday. Anderson was charged with 1 error when a pickoff attempt from starting pitcher Lucas Giolito into the 3rd inning went off Anderson's glove and into center. David Hamilton scored from second on the miscue. I could not believe Anderson missed it. But then again, it's the same thing that happens to him all season long when infield is in and there's a chopper his way and he's got to go right to home. He just biffs on it, hits off of his glove. He's trying to do a couple things before he does the first thing. Not good. After scoring in the 3rd, the Red Sox went back to work in the 4th inning, scoring 2 runs. Yoshida reached on an error by shortstop Elvis Andrus. Rafael Devers followed with a 2-run homer. I mean, it was a no-doubter to right. Devers, of course, the guy that the Red Sox were really in love with, and that allowed Yoan Moncada to be moved to the White Sox. They knew they had Devers, and man, Devers, he can hit. He can hit, and he knew he got all of that off of Giolito. But Giolito was great. I mean, I thought he just, he made that mistake to Devers, and that was it. His line, 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, only 1 was earned, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. His ERA now 3.41. He threw 105 pitches. Bullpen, You saw Santos, Lopez, Middleton, Boston had only 4 hits and struck out 17 times, but won the game on Friday. Sox offense, 1 run, 8 hits. Benintendi with 2 doubles. Aloy was 3 for 4. TA had the lone RBI on a sac fly. Sox were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. More from Grifol on Anderson playing second base. TA went out there, was taking his ground balls at short before the game and brought it up to me that, hey, I can play second if we need it, Grifol said. I said, well, how do you feel with it? He said, I'd like to go over there to get in the lineup. I'd like to be part of this thing. Grifol discussed it with Anderson and general manager, the fearless leader, Rick Hahn, and inserted him at second, hitting second in the lineup on Friday night. So, again, I don't know. You read into it like I do, probably more reading more into it than I should, but Rick Hahn consulted, and, I really do think it's a thing of, hey, let's see if Anderson can showcase a little bit at second base for all these teams that keep calling me about Tim Anderson. Anyway, on Saturday, hey, that was a lot more fun than on Friday. White Sox beat Boston 5-4. Entering Saturday, here's some team on base percentages. You've got the Chicago White Sox entering Saturday, bottom of the league, not just American League, the entire Major League Baseball. At 292. I mean, the A's are above of them. The Royals are above them. The Tigers, it's just, it is one of those things. One of those things about going back to that buyers, sellers, stand pat. There's so much with this White Sox team that they're not just missing like one arm or a couple bats. And you know what? They could absolutely take over the Central and beyond. It is a collective team effort. There are so much going on with this team offensively and not taking pitches, not taking their walks, not getting on base. You saw the string of solo home runs. I mean, that was a theme and has been for the last few weeks. When they hit them, it's been solo shots. So that's just another little, number there that I thought, man, again, like, they're not close. I can understand, like, hey, we're so close to this thing. We just need a couple guys to put us over the edge. That's not quite the case right now. This was James Fegan out of the Chicago Sun-Times. Good to see him writing some stuff for the Sun-Times this past weekend. On Saturday morning, the White Sox took batting practice with a wall of protective screens pulled up adjacent to the pitching mound. I don't know if you heard about this. Pretty interesting. Since they began this practice last week, the idea is to emphasize driving the ball in the air for a group of hitters that, per Fangraphs, entered the weekend with the highest ground ball rate in the majors. In a 5-4 walk-off victory over the Red Sox, the scuffling White Sox offense provided proof of concept, blasting a season-high 4 solo home runs. So, you got your 4 solo home runs, but we're still the rest of the lineup, the team collectively, not getting on base. And they came out on top with this, but it did not go their way, I believe, in LA against the Dodgers, where they had 4 solo home runs and lost the game. So Yaz, Berger, Luis Robert Jr., and Vaughn were your 4 solo home runs on Saturday. Lynn was on the hill. TA played second again, and hit in the 2 spots. So Grifol seemed to hint like, you know what, Friday's just a one-off. We're going to have him at second base, and then he'll most likely go right back to short. Well, it was back-to-back games at second for TA. Let's go right to top of the 9th. This has got a little hairy. Kendall Graveman, an out away from a White Sox winner when a grounder ate up Tim Anderson at second base. It was ruled a hit. Jarren Duran stole second base. Duran went to third on a wild pitch and scored on a looper into short right center. Gut punch. Game was tied at 4 in the 9th. But bottom of the 9th, Gavin Sheets with a base hit. Remillard pinch ran and stole second. And then Elvis Andrus with a walk-off base knock to short right field. White Sox winner in dramatic fashion. Lynn's final line, 5 2/3. 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, only 7 strikeouts this time around for Lynn. His ERA, a beefy 6.40 still with 105 pitches thrown. Bullpen was Santos, Kelly, Graveman. Graveman, of course, had those 9th inning issues. White Sox offense, 5 runs, 10 hits. Benintendi, 3 for 4. Liking him in that leadoff spot. Sox had those 4 solo home runs and were 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position. So not great at all with men in scoring position. Another thing that has been problematic for the White Sox offense for a long period of time. Last time the Sox saw the Angels, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout flexed the power, and the Angels took 2 of 3. Dylan Cease kicks things off. More on that in a moment. So Sox head back out west, another late one. I think an 8:38 start local time on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Dylan Cease will be on the mound on Monday. Dylan Cease has a 1-1 record with an ERA of 4.05 and 24 strikeouts and 4 appearances against the Angels in his career. Faced the Angels last May 2022 on the South Side. This was an outstanding line. 7 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 11 strikeouts. That was when Cease was in just peak form last year. Dylan is 3-3 with an ERA of 4.22 and 100 strikeouts in 16 appearances this season. Last time we saw Cease on the hill, it was against Texas last week. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a couple of walks, 9 strikeouts. This will be Dylan Cease's 17th start of the season. White Sox faced the Angels in Chicago at the end of May. Sox lost 2 of 3. So exciting weekend. Sox, took the series against Boston. They needed to do that. But, at the end of the day, it's like you're still 11 games under 500. You're still, I think, having offensive issues, although you're getting some just outstanding individual efforts, namely from Luis Robert Jr. Lance Lynn, okay, it wasn't the 16 strikeout outing he had against Seattle, but not a bad outing. Gave up a mistake and paid for it. I liked Giolito's outing on Friday. I thought the bullpen did pretty well. I like Jesse Schulten's on Sunday. But so you feel positive about coming out of the weekend, but what do you have to show for it? You're still 6 games back in the AL Central, and those 11 games under 500. So I don't know if the Sox really want to make a run at things, and they want to feel good about where they're at, maybe at the All-Star break or by the time the trade deadline comes. If that's where the Sox front office is looking, like, hey, I think we are going to go for it. I think we're going to go for it in the AL Central especially and try to make some noise in the tournament. Okay. If that's really their mindset, you need to go on some runs here. You need to win like 10 of 12. I mean, you just need to go and just play some really good baseball for 2-3 weeks and then see what happens at the end of it. But this like win 1, lose 2, then we're going to win 2, lose 1, that game, you're playing, at the end of the day, 500 baseball over, a month stretch, 3 weeks. And that's not what the Sox can do right now. If you really want to get back in it, you just have to absolutely go on a run. And I don't know. I hope that can happen against the Angels. And then it'll be an Oakland series following that up. So, folks, thank you so very much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We're on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sox take on the Angels on Monday. Catch every pitch of the White Sox hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search White Sox. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. And hey, everydayers, you know who you are. I do appreciate it. On the next episode, I will recap Dylan Cease's outing, hopefully be breaking down a White Sox winner. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, Go Sox.